Michael Pryor. This section is balancing innovation within your organization. So this falls in the development and the selection of strategy, also in the internal section of the organization in terms of management and leadership. Planning is not an event. It is the continuous process of strengthening what works and abandoning what does not work. Making risk-taking decisions with the greatest knowledge of their potential effect and of setting objectives, appraising performance and results through systematic feedback, then making ongoing adjustments as the conditions change. So many companies find that it's easier to start off being nimble in strategy and execution, but the moment they hit a certain size, gravity starts to hold them back. It is not a bad thing that a company grows in size. That indicates that it's able to scale up its innovative ideas. Big companies are a force for good because they have resources and capabilities to achieve this. In order to create the next big idea, what they need is the right mindset. Therefore, big companies must create dedicated teams for the next big thing, thereby providing some distance between their core business and the new venture. Innovation is structured chaos and disciplined chaos. So it's not contradictory to use discipline to drive breakthrough innovations. However, it is important to recognize that discipline needed for breakthrough innovation is different from the discipline required to execute efficiency-oriented products in the core business. The present core business serves today's customers and wins against today's competitors. The new venture, necessary to secure the future, requires firms to think of other non-customers, disruptive technologies, and non-traditional future competitors. That is why a task force with maverick thinkers should be assembled by brainstorming breakthrough ideas for growth in the future. The most important requirement is that CEOs must allocate resources separately for the core business and for new ventures. CEOs should evaluate new ventures not based on short-term financial results, but on their ability to test future strategic assumptions. In short, new ventures must be held accountable for learning. A new flexible organization design may be required to support these innovation think tanks. The Balanced Scorecard model, the BSC model, is useful for CEOs to manage both the present and the future of their organization. This strategic planning and management model that organizations can use to first communicate what they're trying to accomplish, align the day-to-day work that everyone is doing with strategy, prioritize products, projects, and services, measure and monitor progress towards their strategic targets. So the system connects the dots between big picture strategy elements such as the vision, the mission, core values, the strategic focus areas, different objectives, their measures or KPIs, targets and initiatives. And we look at the balanced scorecard, we can see as we move round that it supports the vision and strategy. So if we start at the top with the financial, and all of these look at the objectives, the measures, the targets and the initiatives to achieve those measures. So the first thing is at the top, how do we look to shareholders? The next one is, what must we excel at in terms of internal business processes? And on the left side, it's how do customers see us? And what do we need to do to satisfy the customer? And finally, at the bottom, how do we sustain our ability to change and improve in terms of learning and growth? Again, each one of these has objectives, measures, targets, and initiatives. And all of that is tied together to support the vision and the overall strategy of the organization. The 3-box solution is designed to balance how managers resolve the inherent tension of innovating a new business while running a high-performance business at the same time. So if we look at the 3 sections, box 1 is manage the present and optimize the current business. To the left, we look at forget the past. Let go of values and practices that fuel the current business but fail the new one. And finally, box 3, the future, create the future, invent a new business model. All of these 3 need to be balanced at the same time by the CEO. So if we look at the past, the strategy is ability to build the future day by day. Let go of past practices, habits, and activities and attitudes. But the challenge is the past always fights back, so prepare to make some tough calls. And leader behavior, establish a formal regime of planned opportunism, champion the ideas of maverick thinkers, do not tolerate any obstruction. In terms of the present, the strategy is run the core business at peak efficiency. Use linear innovations within the existing business model. And the challenge for the present is keep focus on near-term customer needs, optimize operations for high efficiency and lowest reasonable cost. And the leader's behavior is set challenging goals for peak performance, analyze data to quickly spot and address exceptions. And in terms of the future, box 3, the strategy is the non-linear future is built mainly by experimentation that tests assumption and resolves uncertainties. The challenge is it's not always obvious which ideas to pursue first. You'll need a method to gauge relative values and priorities. And the leadership behavior is it's important to test assumptions, not only about the product, but also about the business model and the developing market. So the leader needs to balance these 3 boxes of the past, the present, and the future. So your question for the end of this section is, what is your organization focused on? The past, the present, or the future? Does the C-suite recognize the need for different structures to support different operating requirements?